Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if I had the video on or not. I'm old, you know. Is this thing on? I am a little old lady, I freely admit. I haven't been on here for weeks, and the reason or reasons have been mostly I didn't see the point. Everything seems kind of pointless, actually, but also I didn't want to just come on here and rant and rave, although I'm certainly good at ranting and raving. But I mostly keep that ranting and raving to my bedroom or my shower or something, and I don't inflict it on anybody who might come on here. Um, but we just had our 250th birthday of this country, such as it currently is. And I thought I would talk a little bit about one of the subjects that has been concerning us all, and that is immigration. Legal and illegal, but mostly what is considered to be illegal immigration, and what some of those facts and figures actually are, as opposed to what you may have been told they were. Um, so I just went online and started looking some stuff up and looking up more stuff. And I came up with some things about the population that is being removed from our communities, that Stephen Miller wants gone, and other people want gone. He's not the only one, but he is telling his agents they have to do 3,000. What is it? 3,000 a day, or is it 3,000 a week? No, 3,000 a day. So that's kind of like go in the ocean and grab all the fish, and if you get some, ones that you're not supposed to get, or if you overfish, or if you grab some dolphins or whatever, doesn't matter, just go in there and grab them. And that's about the kind of thing you're going to get because of the pressure on these people. Also, they've been basically told that their jobs will depend on how many people they get. So say, well, is that happening right now, Melanie? I don't know how much you've been paying attention to the news. It hasn't been high profile as it was like in Minneapolis. But yeah, there have been raids. There have been, they've been doing it a little more under the radar, but they have definitely been doing it in the past weeks, grabbing a lot of people and stuffing them into detention centers that usually they won't let anybody come in and look, and often keep them incommunicado, and are very, very bad situations that none of us would want to be in. And if you have any compassion at all, you wouldn't really want anybody else to be in those situations. But I know some of you don't care, and you're like, that's what they deserve. They came here illegally. Actually, some of them didn't come here illegally, and they're in the process of being legal, but they can grab them for almost any and every infraction, however minor. To that point, 3% to 5% of the detainees have a conviction of violent crimes. 3% to 5%. So all the murderers and the rapists that Donald told you he was going to get, he's either already gotten or he's mostly not getting at this point. And those who have no criminal conviction, 70% to 73% of those detained. You can look this up for yourself. I'm not making up these figures. And most infractions that they have are like driving without a license or minor property crimes. I'm not saying that's nothing, but it's not exactly murderers and rapists now, is it? And most actually have zero criminal activity. That's zero criminal activity. So what does this cost the American taxpayer? The private prisons, and who's making money? Well, private prisons are, tech companies are. It costs about $152 per day for an average 44-day stay, it says, to keep somebody in detention. And that's for the American taxpayer. That money doesn't just come out of the air. $152 per day, as opposed to enrolling them in an alternative system with a caseworker tracking them, and that cost about $17 per day. Now, you could say that's not as efficient or whatever, but most of these people don't need to be, ankle monitored, or, they're not out doing terrible things in the community. But, you want to pay $152 per day and then multiply that by an average of 44 days, do the math. Now, let's talk about the other end of this equation, because a lot of people don't talk about it. They do occasionally, but mostly they don't. If you're upset that immigrants are taking your jobs, most of those jobs you wouldn't want, but let's say, okay, they're taking your jobs. There's another part of the equation of people getting a job. Somebody has to hire them. And the people who are hiring them, the companies who are hiring them, are mostly getting off scot-free. They do not get caught up in all of this persecution and stuff. It's the people who want to come to this country, have a better life for themselves and their children, which is, quite frankly, a desire all of us have in the entire world. And you could go ahead and blame them for having that desire, but you have it too. Everybody has that desire. We all want to have a better life for ourselves if we can have it in any way, and for our children especially. And that's their motivation for the most part, largely. And so these companies, of course, they take advantage. What is their motivation? Well, they want cheap workers. People they don't have to pay very much. People they don't have to worry about giving them health care, or they don't have to worry about them complaining about the long hours. They're certainly not going to be union members. Oh my God, no. And then if they get caught, and they do occasionally, get, some, oh, wait a minute, what are you guys doing here? They get a little minor civil compliance fines is what they get, and they blame it on middle management. Well, we didn't know they were hiring. We go, oh, look at us. We had no idea. We are innocent as the driven snow. And they get away with it. So if you're going to have ire about all these terrible immigrants, you might save some of that ire for the people hiring all of these immigrants that you don't want them to hire, because there is another side to that equation. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the U.S. citizens commit the majority of violent crimes, 5-1. 5 more U.S. citizens to 1 immigrant commit the violent crimes in this country. And yes, you can look up these statistics too. I'm not the only one who can find them. And over time, now this is from the American Immigration Council data. So you can say, well, yeah, they're immigrants, or I don't know if they're comprised of immigrants or whatever. So they're leaning in their favor, so they're going to say this. But there are other places to find this data. They show that a higher percentage of immigrants in a population means less crime, actually. And you get safer communities. And part of that doesn't have, Melanie, are you saying they're better than us, or they're nicer, better people? There's a lot of factors at work here, but I'd say one of the things is that immigrants understand that they are under scrutiny to some extent, and they pretty much keep their heads down and try to, make a living and make a life. And, they know if they do stuff that's illegal, that's going to bring focus. It's going to bring attention. It's going to bring, so you could say, well, that's a selfish thing on their part. They just know they don't want to do that because they don't want to get in trouble. But there's also the fact that they bring in their societal norms, which are often religious, and come with, hey, let's all behave ourselves and get along in our new country. Again, so do a lot of Americans. Most, many Americans have those same, let's be good people, let's be good citizens. I'm not saying that Americans are comprised of horrible people. I'm saying when you look at the overall population, apparently it's more likely that some of us are going to go rogue and go crazy than some and do horrible things than the immigrants who come to our country. So that's kind of what I was looking at today. So I want you to think, if you haven't already thought, about the story that continues, because it is continuing. The immigrants they're letting in, that they're like, oh, this is cool. Let's have these. You know who they really solely have been letting in, that they're like, really, yeah, come to our country, come to white South Africans. That's who they have been asking to come to the country. Trump is encouraging them because they're subject to racism. Yeah, are they? Maybe they are. They certainly wouldn't be the only people in the world who've been subject to that. But those are the people that Trump is actively recruiting to come to our country. White South Africans. And probably if you wanted to come in from Norway or Denmark or say, he'd probably be fine with that too, as long as you had a lot of money, a fair amount of money. White people, in other words. White people. Don't want these brown people coming in. Come on. We don't want that. Did you see the white nationalist masked assholes who marched to the Capitol over our proud 250th birthday? Did you see them? Oh my God. And were they met with, police presence or suspicion or any kind of being hemmed round with major security? No, they were not. No, they were not. Because let's face it, those are the kind of guys that this administration likes. They're totally cool with them. Don't tell me that they're not, because you know that they are. There's, white nationalist Christian theocracy is what is being pushed in this country right now on many levels, and you're aware of it in the schools, in the courts, the Supreme Court, few more rulings and Handmaid's Tale, if we don't already have it. Maybe, get rid of the 19th Amendment. Women don't need to vote. There's a cadre of women who actually say that. We don't need to vote. Our men can do it for us. Well, why do we need? I'll just be at home canning peaches. Ooh. Anyway. So, happy 250th birthday, everybody, and I may check in again, or I may not, if I feel like I have something I need to say. And yeah, and don't ask for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for us.